Hey, congratulations on your new
Thank
film,
you.
Bambi: The Reckoning.
Cheers, gig. Thank you.
You know what? I've been watching all these movies out of the Twisted Childhood universe. But
Mm.
let let's ask that obligatory question first is what initially drew you that you wanted to direct Bambi?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, I've known Scott and Reese for a long time. I remember first seeing the poster for Pooh One, so for Blood and Honey, and I remember just thinking what a cool idea that was, and how what a fun sort of piece of IP to turn into a series. And I immediately messaged them and be like, guys, you got to get me involved in the second one. Um, and they very kindly brought me on to edit the film with Reese. And I've directed films for them before. So then the opportunity came up. They were doing a few of these at once, and they were like, we can't do these all. Would you be interested in being involved in Bambi? And and I mean, I think I said yes straight away, obviously. Um, and then sort of took a step back and be like, okay, can I definitely do something with this? Can I bring something really awesome to Bambi and powerful and meaningful and just, create a really fun experience, but then also do something purposeful with it, and I really sort of pushed it into being this film that was actually about the death of childhood, and that sort of loss of innocence. And that was sort of my pitch to them, which they really loved, ITN loved. And then yeah, and then it was just working with the writer to refine the script. There was already a draft before I came on board, but then we sort of shaped it to that, and yeah, help sort of shape it into something that was both really ambitious but also achievable. Um, and I could bring my sensibilities of quite like moody, dark genre filmmaking to it. So I knew I wanted to bring that, but then I also didn't want to miss out entirely on the fun carnage that I think people know the Pooniverse movies for.
Now, tell me about your process of taking this IP of this really, our childhood memories of innocence and taking something that's cute and cuddly and redesigning Bambi into something monstrous.
Yeah. Um, I mean, we looked back even further, right, beyond because we weren't really looking at the Disney film as much as we were looking at the source book, which is already sort of actually inherently quite dark. I think people forget how dark these original stories actually are, but they're very sort of sinister and moody. And the forest itself is quite dark and scary as well. So we feel like we're being sort of faithful in a way, but it's faithful but on steroids. So we're sort of dialing all these dark elements up to sort of 11. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's sort of the key thing is working out what type of movie you want to do and what you want to say with it. We wanted to explore this whole loss of innocence, death of childhood thing that I mentioned, and have a child in it that literally is realizing his parents aren't superheroes and realizing the world is a darker place than he thought, but then also at the same time making a big fun monster movie that I think is gonna, yeah, be cool to experience. And so then once you know you want to do that, then it's like, well, how scary can we make this deer? We still want to be happy when it kills certain people, but we need it to be really scary and be able to hide it in the shadows, to effectively sort of, yeah, deliver some gruesome kills, So that's about sort of knowing what you want to achieve and knowing what you want to say and sort of shaping an experience for audiences that's going to deliver both of those.
Well, let's not forget the fact that you're not telling a children's story. You're still telling a
No,
horror
no,
a horror film. But in order a horror film like this to actually work, it's always about the victims. But in this case, the victims that you basically put into this film, yeah, I want to say it's like a despicable family, and the hunters are not, are very much the same too.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Yeah, I mean, the hunters we needed to sort of we wanted them to embody sort of the mistreatment of nature in a way, but also just the disregard for it. I mean, they embody obviously the death of Bambi's mum, and and also just a carelessness. There's a lot of litter that's scattered around the film. There's a lot of disregard for even human life and that nature life. They're just sort of almost mindless. So in many ways, they're almost scarier than Bambi itself, um, which is sort of how we see the hunters operating. They're very much just like paycheck to paycheck, which is no comment on hunters so much as just these hunters in this film, and what they do in the space of this, yeah, in the space of this movie, is how I would sort of describe them, I guess. Yeah, does that answer the question? I can't. I'm not
It
sure.
did. But I also want to remark about how did you want to craft the family in this case? You know, in its own
Mhm.
way, you know, they're victims, but they're I want to say they're not the most lovable family on screen.
No, yeah, absolutely. So this is it's always a balance, right? You want to have them entertaining. You've got to give them a reason to be killed as well. It's sort of like the rules of slasher movies, right? Like generally they're going to have a problem. They're going to be like a problem of character. Because what most slasher movies and horror movies have in some way is actually like a weird, very dark sense of justice where the worst characters die the worst ways, and then the less bad characters die slightly less bad ways. Um, so if we're going to kill off these characters, you want to almost enjoy them in some way and know that there's a sense of justice being done, that I think adds to the satisfaction and enjoyment of why we sort of love these movies. But then also at the same time, use them to do create obstacles for our main characters. So you've got Benji and obviously Benji's mum, Zana, they're very much estranged from this family. They're not as posh and as well-to-do as this family that they're going to visit, the in-laws. So they're problematic because that's how Benji and Zana experience family. That's how a lot of people experience sort of extended family, is these sort of difficult figures. So it's very much creating a personal torture chamber, I would say, for our main characters. But also, I think some of them have some redeeming qualities, and they have something nice about them. And in fact, there's actually more scenes you'll see. They should be on the DVD or the Blu-ray. There's some deleted scenes where you actually sort of see more about the family, and sort of their intentions and other sides to them that aren't in the actual film.
Now, were there challenges for you personally as a director, you know, going through like a closed spaces of a house or in the wide open woods in the middle of, you know, darkness?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, on a personal level, like almost like film aside, I'd done a horror shoot at night the year before, and I realized that my footwear was not cut out for shooting at -3 degrees in the middle of British winter, where I think it literally snowed a couple of days. Um, the scene where the hunter falls out the truck and Bambi steps on him, the ground was literally frozen. In our heads, he was going to be like rolling around in the mud, but it was literally rock hard ground where the mud had completely frozen. Um, so I was aware that if you don't have the right footwear, your toes will literally freeze. Um, so I bought this massive coat that goes over the top like a dry robe. I bought a heated gilet, and then I bought yeah, these snow boots. Or what are they called? Arctic wellies. So they're like Wellington boots, but they're completely lined. But then that introduces another problem. They're great for going out in freezing or -20 degrees temperatures, but they're not designed to be worn for 16-hour days, or 12-hour days, 14-hour days, if including the commute. Uh, so your feet start condensating and they start to fill up with sweat and liquid on the inside. So then you start to get cold again because yeah, it's all getting like wet on the inside of the wellies. It was a very personally, physically horrible, but at least, everyone else had probably had it worse because they had to, the actors had to roll around in the cold, whereas, the camera team having to pick up really cold objects. I tried to help where I could, but yeah, they definitely had it even harder, is what I would say.
Well, you outlasted that because you finished this project. Dan, let me wrap it up with one last question because I know
Hmm.
you are no stranger to the horror genre, but in a
Hmm.
film like this, you know, horror directors love to either use a lot of CGI or a lot of practical.
Mhm.
Tell us about how you try to balance this out for this film, because obviously you can't find Bambi to play a monstrous Bambi in a film like this.
Yeah, I mean, we held a few auditions, but just none of the deers were doing a good job. They were really sort of they didn't really understand the character of Bambi. So in the end, we decided we couldn't cast a real deer, and we'd have to go fully CGI. But no, we what do we have to do? I mean, I love practical. I love practical. I love CGI as well, but I think the best thing is when they work together harmoniously and you create something really special that you could only do with a mixture of both. If you went fully practical, it'd be puppeted, but you'd be able to tell it was puppeted. I think it's hard to sort of pull that off super convincingly, or like you don't want to end up with like a man in a suit syndrome. Like that's almost like the why Pooh 2 is way better than Pooh 1 in terms of the design, is because it's not a mask, it's actually like prosthetics and a design, and you can feel that it makes him feel like such a real character. With Bambi, you don't want to have any sort of sense of like this is a puppet or anything like that. But what you do want is to feel it's really there and it's really interacting with people. So we had these green screen hoofs and these green screen head, so people could actually like swipe at Bambi's head with these like green hands that we could like grab and rip things off of people. So we could actually really physically interact with SFX. And then that was overlaid with VFX to really sort of create a cool final product that you wouldn't be able to do without both, is what I would say.
Well, you know what? Bambi the Reckoning is a great addition to this universe because you know why?
Oh, thank
Because
you.
it's fun and the formula
Yeah.
is actually working. That's why you guys keep on making these movies. So, Daniel, thank you very much for speaking to us about Bambi the Reckoning.
No worries at all. Thank you. Thanks for having me.